Yeah, we're gonna see how the new draft comes up. It's game 2. Now, I think both of us, just to double check, did predict a 2-1 for Hawkthorne. So we weren't, we didn't think this would be a wash. We did think Divine Ascension would post up at least a single win. And maybe the fromage is the way to pick up that win against, potentially a better team. But potentially these are really equally matched teams. We had well over a kill a minute. I didn't catch the final total, but it was somewhere in the 40 range, which is pretty intense. Similar bans coming out so far, by the way. Jinx, Yorick, Poppy out of Hawkthorne Esports, Wukong, and Shen both were on the Divine Ascension side in the previous match. And I think actually in that exact order, if they're going to
Yeah,
do it again, it would be a Hecarim. I'm not sure I feel the Hecarim ban personally,
not
but,
really.
but so far, pretty usual. Now we do have first pick here for Hawkthorne Esports. Maybe they'll change things up. There is the Hecarim. Okay, it's same bands. Actually, same bands across the board
They're
in the
getting the
same order.
horn.
Oh,
Oh,
Rumble, let's go.
okay, they do what we saw Divine and Sapphire do in our first game, and B1 this Rumble. Now, it is a very strong jungle pick, but we might see it go into the mid lane, and there could be a surprise appearance from a guest in that jungle role for Hawkthorne. So I'll have to wait and see what our guy Arth is going to be piloting there. But the answer from Divine and Sapphire will be this Nocturne. Very strong in the jungle, strong in solo lanes as well. And you can
I'm good
already
top
tell
really.
right now that there is a Nocturne and a Leona here. So there's a very strong dive comp here, a very strong pick comp that might be brewing. Right now, these two champs can CC lock you, and they're very strong at getting into you, getting to the meat of your composition. I like what Divine and Sapphire has gotten so far, and they might be brewing up another press R comp right here.
Yeah, so far so good. I'm a big Nocturne jungle fan. I used to play it back in the day, like season 7 when I was a big jungler. But I've been really, really liking it in this top lane. You can get that level 11 ult really, really fast. I'm also a big Lee Sin fan, and I've particularly been a fan of him in the solo lanes. Arth is a really big AP jungler, so I'm kind of feeling Hearthstone brother with the Lee Sin mid. I think it's a little bit better top lane, but they've been really knocking out this AP AD jungle mid duo. That should be pretty exciting, but pretty go at you kind of composition, especially with this Garen coming out. Okay, no, it's a pick. It's Malice's most played. He is 3 out of now 7 games on Garen. This will be his 4 for 8. He's got a really big pick percentage on it. Actually, pretty good stats on it as well.
This is another one of these low elo stompers.
Sure.
But we've
Yeah.
seen this work. Okay, now you have your front line, you have your engage set up. There is a strong value in this Garen. Now keep in mind that Hawkthorne has not for sure definitely picked up what will be their jungler here. Rumble and Lee Sin, they can be flexed into one of the solo lanes. So we may not have actually seen the jungler here. And I like this draft out of Hawkthorne because there is flexibility. There is a chance to say, okay, we can look at what Divine and Sapphire wants to bring out here. And we can maybe say, okay, we want to Rumble mid, but now I think Lee Sin's a better matchup here. We'll put Lee Sin there, put Rumble in the jungle, maybe even the top lane. You have room to adjust to what you're going to be seeing on the map. And it looks like Divine and Sapphire has also adjusted by going ahead and banning out that Lucian. No more of that in the mid lane for Hawkthorne and that Silas. And Hawkthorne has said that Nocturne could go in the jungle, but it might not. Let's go ahead and get that one out of the way.
I would want to point out, though, that Divine Ascension has banned Salas in both games and they banned Nocturne in the previous game. So they're really trying to keep these 2 power picks away from Hawkthorne Esports, which is kind of an interesting thing. There's the Seraphine we've seen as, I think the last game was the first game that I've seen without her in the pick ban. She's really hovering at that like 98, 99%, getting kind of intense. The Tristana coming out of Divine Ascension, because as you mentioned, we're still not 100% where Rumble and Lee Sin are fitting. I feel like the Silas ban and the Lucian ban kind of tells me that Divine Ascension is not believing it's a mid Lucian or even a mid Rumble for that matter. We're gonna have to see with this final pick, and then of course the counter for Divine Ascension. I love the Vayne. This is counter's power pick, if you will.
Oh yeah, that Vayne is very strong. He pilots it to perfection, and it scales very well. Now you have a Leona, you have a Garen. That's gonna be with a passive and the Kraken Slayer. He's gonna have a very fun time. And now you bring in the Malphite. This is a very strong initiator, weak side top laner. You do see that it'll probably be a Lee Sin in the mid lane, Rumble in the jungle, and that works really well when you have the kind of synergy between Rumble and Lee Sin. Malphite is more magic damage, but it's okay. He's gonna be playing the tank role, the engage role. I'm really loving this composition that wants to go in and go forward from Hawkthorne Esports. For Sapphire, bringing out the Gwen. Now, what I've heard is that there's not very many matchups that Gwen loses. In the vacuum, she's a very, very strong laner. So I'm not gonna say we're gonna see Garen in the mid lane. It ain't gonna happen, right? So we'll be seeing a Gwen
Belby.
in the mid lane for Belby. Yes, exactly.
He's played it before so far. This is his first second pick. This is his first double pick, if you will.
Okay, and now we have with the Gwen here. I'm liking the team fighting of both of these squads. I think I like the ability to 1-3-1 out of Divine Assassin Sapphire. They have a pretty clear game plan, how they want to get this game going, and they have more pressure in the bot lane. They can definitely go ahead and try to get dragons. I mean, attempt to get dragons. 4 straight drags for Hawkthorne. Then the one that mattered went to them, but I want to see them actually have real shots at accumulating dragons for themselves and not digging a hole that they have to work very hard to get out of.
I mean, you mentioned the 4 straight dragons, which is actually kind of surprising with the amount of attention that I feel like went Divine Ascension Sapphire's way in the early game in the bot lane. So I will be kind of surprised or interested to see if they can slow things down, still get that attention, still get that control, but are able to actually get the priority on the waves, get control of the actual bot lane itself and not just the kills, and look towards these Drakes. You're right. They got the one that mattered, that won the team fight, that eventually won the game. And I think we probably could have cleaned things up a little bit faster, if you will. But it's all right. I feel pretty confident in a Malphite top, Rumble jungle, Lee Sin mid, as you mentioned. We are still going to have to kind of see things lock in. Are you right? Malphite is a little bit more of an AP focused top laner, and I could actually see a Scion here looking pretty crazy, but it'll be all right. This is a surprisingly high competitive team draft coming out of Hawkthorne Esports. It's really, really hard to execute. Less of the kind of press R and go buttons as Divine Ascension has. Maybe they're kind of making a bit of a statement here. You know, like you got us because because of us, as opposed to as anything else.
Yeah, you guys didn't win. We just lost.
Yeah.
Is maybe the thought process from Hawkthorne Esports to say, let's go ahead and get this competition that we think can play a little bit better into you. We make stronger shot calls that aren't about, let's be honest, ego here from our mid and bot laner. But I'm looking at this comp from Divine and Sapphire, and I'm looking at the Gwen. There's not a whole lot of CC that her W is going to be able to get rid of. That comes from outside of that area. Malphite getting onto you is gonna be strong. Lee Sin kick is inside that area. Now the equalizer does slow, and that will probably be outside that range. But and maybe the what does Vayne have? The condemn. Maybe the condemn is outside of that range, but I'm not really seeing all that much that's gonna be strong enough to help in these team fights.
Yeah, it's not a huge value. I think, part of the issue is that this is the first time we're going to see Gwen in Light League. Did you see any Gwen in the open qualifiers? Because I have not seen any competitive Gwen whatsoever. So we don't. You're shaking your head. We don't really know what this champion looks like. You're right. She's got a lot of ability to kind of get out of CC. She has a decent amount of setup. Not like as much as Lee Sin, of course. But we're gonna have to see how it goes. I really much prefer her in the top lane personally. I think she's got much better matchups there. Of course, she would be fighting a Lee Sin up there anyway. So this is a this is a matchup that has happened. It's definitely happened in solo queue at literally all levels, both in the mid lane and the top lane. So I am going to be pretty interested to see how it rolls out. I'd need to double check with production, but I think this is the first Gwen pick. It will be the first week of picking Gwen. I wonder if it's the first Gwen pen just in general.
Now, do you think we might be able to see a Belby and Malice lane swap? How does that Garen look into Lee Sin, do you think?
That would feel a lot more comfortable to me. That would actually feel a lot more comfortable to me, swapping those roles out with the Garen versus the Lee Sin. Lee Sin is really just a sustained monster.
Mhm.
That's the reason that he's been picked so much in high MMR and pro play in the top lane and the mid lane is that he just kind of gets poked out, sustains it up, and walks away. Garen is not too far off that mark either, but he's a lot harder to just kind of 100 to 0 one tap than a Gwen might be. I
Yeah,
actually like it.
I think that could definitely work with you spinning to winning. One guy's punching the air, getting them into you. They're not gonna really have a ton of kill pressure unless you overstep. I would definitely like to see if Belby and Malice are able to get a lane swap there, get these guys into better matchups. But we'll have to see how this works out. I think this is a much more even comp that I feel confident for both sides. This should be another banger of a game. Maybe not quite as a fiesta, but it could be very exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, this feels like a very serious you're out of position, you're dead kind of game. I like to see those a lot more than the yeah, you call it the fiesta. Definitely last game was a bit interesting. A lot of fighting, a lot of just using ults on cooldown. This game it'll be ults on cooldown, but in a lot more kind of one-on-ones and the 2v2s and the skirmishes that we've really become accustomed to since like kind of the end of season 9 where there's much less, of the. I mean, we were seeing 4v4s at about 4 minutes in the previous game. I don't think that that's going to happen so much in this game. We'll have to see how it rolls out. Again, I do feel Nocturne in the top or the mid a little bit more, but we're going to have to kind of roll it out. Any kind of closing thoughts on how you think this game is going to play out?
I just wish I could get to see more numbers on the
Mhm.
board for my man Orm, but I think we have a very good matchup here. I definitely want to see how the numbers favor with Gwen here. We get
Yeah.
more opportunity to establish some statistics here that can give us stone cold facts,
Yep.
and that's what we're here for.
No, I love it. I'm really excited to see Gwen. She's a very interesting champion to me, and like I said, I've not seen her in any matches whatsoever across the globe. So it'd be kind of interesting to see this kind of preview of how this champion rolls out. I think Lee Sin's got a bit of a ringer in him, but we'll see how it rolls out. We're gonna kick it to a quick break before Zephyr and Dunsey bring us game number 2 between Divine Ascension Sapphire and Hawkthorne Esports.
One, two, three, come on, make it bounce.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Excellency Light League. If you're just joining us, Divine Ascension Sapphire, after absolutely duking it out here against Hawkthorne Esports in a toe-to-toe matchup, find a victory, and now we approach our second game of the night between these two titans. I'm your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, joined by Dunzi as my color.
Hi there, Zephyr. Once again, we are getting a treat in these compositions. You have flexes all over the place. You have odd summoner usage between the exhaust on counters and the heal on Matty Mice's Thresh, playing defensively in that lane and allowing counters to utilize his own exhaust whenever pre-made or Belby decide to dive in with these assassins onto him. And you got the Lee Sin mid lane, which has made its way into solo queue, into competitive play as a very strong laner. I'm excited to see Hardstuck Brother on this Lee Sin going into game 2.
Absolutely. We've seen it on St. Alucard last week for Lotus White, and you've definitely expressed to me here before we even got into game how he's looking a lot better in the lane-to-lane matchup rather than explicitly in the jungle right now. But into Belby on this Gwen, or my apologies, Malice on the rotation down, much to what Shell's called out. I'm curious to see how it matches up.
Yeah, I mean, he's the mastermind behind it all. Shellatron knew what was going to happen. It's Malice in the mid lane to counteract Hardstuck Brothers Lee Sin. And you were talking to me behind the scenes about how this is kind of a pocket pick for Malice. He likes this Garen. Comfort for the top laner. Well, the mid laner this game of Divine Ascension.
Absolutely. This guy, like we've said, has shown it 7 times. Currently, now approaching his 8th, I believe, into this matchup. But over in the bot lane, Counter is getting parsed out from the wave here, looking pretty low after that destructive trade. And no surprise there, Wisdom's on Tristana this time around, and it's a lot more aggressive compared to what we're used to from Wisdom.
Man, what did we expect? Of course, these guys, it's 2 minutes in. I'm surprised there wasn't a fighting earlier after the slugfest that we saw in game 1. Where's first blood? I'm still waiting. Are you kidding me? Come on.
I know, tick-tock, guys.
Exactly. These two teams are just so active. I love this deep ward coming out from Belby. He got a nice push onto the Malphite lane. Zilla trying to soak up the wave. And they're going to be able to see Arth on his pathing up towards the blue. Full clears from both junglers. Kind of interesting here. Deciding to try and scale for 6. Get the equalizer, get the paranoia, find the ganks early.
Absolutely. I think that benefits, particularly, in my opinion, Divine Ascension more into this factor. Yes, the equalizer is strong, but that cross kind of semi-global ult is going to be really putting in work into this kind of pick comp that Divine has lined up for themselves.
And, man, these two, I guess, mid laners, Garen and Lee Sin, are just going at each other's throats. I'm surprised neither took Ignites. I think there would have been a lot more sparks, but I am happy with the cross-map play, the teleport summoner here. Here comes a sneaky gank by Arth, waiting in the wings.
A little too far away. You got that Sonic Wave in as why are you diving, turret? Instant death, and now on the top side, another kill potentially as pre-made comes in for the gank, finds the fear off of a good flash as Belby steps up. Godzilla's looking on his way to death. That's 2 kills for Divine Ascension Sapphire.
And we're changing up how rock, paper, scissors works. In this case, Belby wins, snipping up the rock here. He gets a nice gank. They blow the summoners, the flash out of Godzilla. Pre-made trades it. I love that. Belby holds his flash, and he was even donated the kill here. That was a great play across both solo lanes for Divine Ascension. Really, I mean, Malice kind of just sat there and took the kill, but hey, both solo lanes now 1-0, sitting pretty.
I got a question. What's the opinion on the hard dive there from my buddy Hardstuck?
Well, I think there might be a reason why he's hard stuck.
Oh my gosh.
These hard dives. They're, you know, it's not so hard to just not have Lee Syndrome sometimes. I think it's okay to allow the Sonic Wave to time out, but here comes an Arth gank.
Coming through on the side here. He finds the setup. Good flash play into the hook. Big stun for Adhesive there. Going to be taken out as Counters. Picks that one up. Beautiful start on the scaling for this Vayne here.
Matty Mice, ice cold. His veins are freezing. Man, like that was a beautiful flash flame. Mega adhesive, no flash available. And now, pre-made. They want to look at the dragon that's being taken up here by Belby.
Coming in here, Matty Mice, he's able to get that stun, but not before Wisdom picks up the response, leaps out here onto counters, looking low. Big condemn to separate them off here, but Arth might pay the price as a result. Now a big teleport coming out on the backside here. You do have Heartstuck possibly able to come in as Zilla's gonna come through as well. I'm curious if they're gonna look to fight this one out. Zilla comes in with no health available, so he is instantly gone off of that one. The rest of the team looks to collapse here. Brothers shielding out counters for as long as he can. He manages to actually get the kill on top of Wisdom before he goes down as a response. It's looking in total though that they lose 3 for 1 on that major TP trade.
Yeah, and where we left off in game 1, we have already picked up 8 kills in 6 minutes. Here comes the first Drake going over to Divine Ascension this time, who have the early lead and a Drake. They were the ones who were behind. They had kills early, but they were giving up the objectives in that early game. Now Belby, 3 plates on Gwen and a massive CS lead. It's gonna be really, really big top gap here coming up soon between Belby and Zilla.
This time around, actually, I was going to say not this time around. Divine Ascension's looking nearly identical towards their last game here. They find kill leads, but this time, actually, that's where I was going with this. Man, my brain absolutely confuzzled after the first one there. They actually find control onto this first Drake here after playing into some really good advantages into the team fights that they take. They just aren't finding kills and then doing nothing with it. They're actually pushing that off towards where it matters, which is something I like to see.
And I just want to bring up, do you guys remember when I said Divine Ascension was the best team in the league? That was definitely me. It wasn't Shelltron. I think I said that Divine Ascension is the best team in the league,
I think it's hilarious that I had them rated the highest, by the way, out of all of you.
You're also a genius.
You are also a genius. Yeah. I think you're just stalling here as we see big paranoia, like you said, deep dive as Wisdom sets up for the initial pick, and now Matty Mice, he might be ice, but he's not looking nice. Getting taken out there in the bot lane, and now Belby on the top looking to finish up Zilla as well. Beautiful snipe in the end there.
Yeah, the needlework from Belby threading it through to get Godzilla with that snipe. It was beautiful. No flash available from Malphite to be able to dodge that one out. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place, the turret and the wall. You had Godzilla in the middle, unfortunately, and this game, although it's been chaotic, has been all Divine Ascension, but an equalizer comes out.
It's an equalizer, but it's already done. Counters picks up the response there. Like you said, great rotation from Arth coming in. A little bit too greedy from Adhesive and Wisdom, sticking around just too long. Heck, they even took some turret shots to boot.
Just as we're praising and saying how great Divine Ascension is, because I definitely had them number 1. I think Hickory had them last, if anything. Shells, you and I, we're just geniuses, man. But just as I'm praising them, they overstep and they give a kill back. It's not gonna equalize the game, but the equalizer was nice there from Arth. They're gonna need a few more good team fights here to bring it back before they can supplant this 4K gold lead that's already in their deficits.
Look at this big flank from Adhesive. Counter steps into turret to try to escape, but Wisdom's on the hunt, as he might say. Big exhaust to actually find the return. Counter's playing off of that summoner very well, and a lantern to save the day. That's a massive outplay.
Yeah, counters. I mean, the exhaust is just so good in that scenario for Tristana. I love it. 80 carries have been starting to take it a little bit more often during the assassin meta. It's kind of fallen off, but this is a great decision by Counters. He kind of made the only play that was available to him there, and he solos out Cryptic Wisdom, who didn't have Mega Adhesive on the same page as him, and it just ended up being a great outplay. Matty Mice with the Thresh Lantern available, and they sneak out, and slowly the gold lead is shrinking. Yeah.
I will say they definitely keep their pressure, though. They've got the setup here for Rift, so they're going to take that and continue their objective control here, and hopefully they put that towards good use. It ends up landing on Premade here. Possibly if he comes in for kind of that pick gank that he's known for on this Nocturne, then he can stem that towards some extra gold, but he might be putting this mid pretty much immediately.
Looks like Heartstuck learned from his earlier mistake. He didn't take that Sonic Wave there. But yeah, they're going to pick up a few plays here with the Herald, which is going to be a nice play. But Arth and Godzilla are making their way down. It's going to be a team fight.
Equalizer start things off. He tries to go for the Justice in return, but it's going to be the turret that shuts him down. The rest of the team has arrived. Good knockup from the Unstoppable Force from Zilla, but the turret is down. First turret, Wisdom trying to get out. It's going to be that Dragon Range from Brother, though, to take out Wisdom. Now Belby and Adhesive looking lower and lower as Mice steps up with that CC as necessary. Belby, though, looking for the chase here. Stem out the scissors. Good heal in response. It's going to be that Paranoia, though, that makes sure this team fight turns back the way of Divine Ascension Sapphire. It's the 1-for-1 with the turret pickup for Divine.
Yeah, and counters that entire time, sat in the bot lane. I hope he is, yeah, he's going to be able to make it out now. He soaked up a lot of wave, a lot of experience. He's got a 40 CS lead on Cryptic Wisdom. And I tell you what, they are down 5 kills. They're down 4,000 gold and a Drake, but they do scale better, I think, than Divine Ascension. This time they're the ones with a Vayne in their pocket with the exhaust to protect her. It's gonna be a nice wombo on their side with the Malphite ultimate, Unstoppable Force, an Equalizer on top of that. You have a nice box to just soak up a ton of AoE, zoning control, and man, these two teams once again are at each other's throats.
Well, they might be at each other's throats here very shortly as you have that TP coming through from Heartstuck as well as Zilla. They're looking for a gauge. Response comes through. They managed to secure that Drake as Brother and Matty Mice and the rest of them now looking for the escape. Belby Mal steps up there. Can't quite find what he needs, though, so I think they're just going to pull off of this one. Still, though, a good Drake to secure here in the end.
Yeah, they didn't have their ultimates back up that we just talked about. They're looking at more of a wombo comp right now. There is no Dragon Rage available. There was no Unstoppable Force. And these two, the solo laners, both TP'd in. Meanwhile, Arth was in base. Just miscommunication here from the side of Hawkthorne Esports. Maybe the nerves are getting to them a little bit. You don't want to take that fight without your jungler and without a massive Equalizer ultimate. So, I mean, that's unfortunate for them. They do burn a lot of summoners here, but Belby's in a sneaky spot.
Belby stepping up there. Big flash from Adhesive. Doesn't quite find the stun, but it lands on Mice when it needs to. They turn their attention as the Paranoia comes through. Big hook, though, on Adhesive to prevent the kill. Counter steps back into this. He's that schnutty Vayne that we've all been waiting for. Pre-made, ticking down from the burn, and it's going to be Arth that picks up the response on that one. Good return on the collapse here from Hawkthorne.
Yeah, and this game is on counters. I'm telling you right now, Premade is gonna be diving him non-stop. Belby's gonna be diving him non-stop, and he's gonna have to be able to be the one to turn it around. So you see a little bit of scuffle. Belby might be in a tough position though.
Up position he may be, but that blast cone is there to get him over the wall. Counters looks for something further, but Wisdom going to be the one to put him out of his misery. Stun over the wall to start things off onto Brother there as a good solar flare. Dragon's Rage putting Wisdom in a great spot. The hook doesn't land, though, due to an amazing flash, and now the response is just cleanup after cleanup as Belby takes out Mice, and Brother looks to go down here at the hands of Wisdom.
Yeah, Heartstuck Brother went for a play there. He tried to kick Tristana towards the rest of his team. It baited Matty Mice into staying long enough for Belby to pick up the kill, and after they take a team fight win, Hawkthorne just give it right back over to Divine Ascension. It's still hovering at a 4K gold lead, and now it's Divine Ascension who are stacking these Drakes. In 2.5 minutes, you're gonna see a third Infernal Drake coming out. We're once again on the Infernal Soul this game. Will it be Divine Ascension picking it up this time, or are Hawkthorne going to be able to stake off that soul point for a little bit longer?
Well, they'll definitely have to hope here, because giving over soul was something that definitely kept Hawkthorne looking a lot more competitive into this last game. And this time around, they don't have any Drake control.
Yeah, I mean, Heartstuck brother, he's actually doing a ton of damage to this Garen. What's happening?
Well, at this point, he's absolutely activated, but Adhesive comes through with the stun when need be, and that, Damascene Justice just isn't quite within the threshold. Either way, Malice still is able to pick up that kill.
Yeah, if he had his ults available, Heartstuck brother for sure would have traded at least 1 kill. But unfortunately for him, the kick was not up yet. He will be back up to secure some dragon control with his team, but here's a bot lane scuffle.
Great condemn into the wall, and Adhesive there stacks it up. Surprisingly, he lasts for a lot longer, enough to get off that solar flare, but Arth on the side is able to pick up both of Divine Ascension Sapphire as Malice now ticks his way towards death, but they're going to back off. They see the rotation coming from Premade, and they say, we don't want any more paranoia. We found our 2 kills. We're good to go.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Arth is doing a ton of damage, and look what's in his inventory. Once again, he had it on, what was he, Elise last game? I can't even remember. He was stacking up the Magi's. This time he has 17 stacks, but Godzilla is taking a beating from Belby.
Oh, Belby Flash, he doesn't have any mana, and the burst here from Brother is just absolutely dire in this situation. Oh, big flash, though, here from Arth to finish the kill off, and Paranoia isn't enough to provide a defensive advantage, and Premade's gonna find his way to death's door.
Oh my goodness. Divine Ascension say, wait, we're too far ahead right now. We need to even up the gold a little bit. They give away 2 free kills there, and they take Belby's flash in the process. Godzilla baited Belby in very nicely there. They stacked the Unstoppable Force into the kick, and they're able to pick up 2 before this Drake. They're going to get Herald as well, and we're going to see a 5v5 for Soul Point.
That's the first objective here that we've seen from Hawkthorne, but ooh, good condemn to take Adhesive off, but Mal still wants to go for it. They find the stun with the Solar Flare, and it's going to be Wisdom off of the leap, picking up the return there onto counters. Now all they have to do is rotate up and continue to secure what is this next Drake.
Yeah, incredibly massive pick there for Divine Ascension. Counters is the carry right now. Arth is massive as well, but they cannot take this 4v5. If I am Hawkthorne, I give this up, live to see another day. It's okay. You still have 1 Drake left to fight over. Just go push mid lane, go push top lane, but instead they're opting for a 4v5.
Adhesive fronting this one out, goes for the immediate root. Arth not quite finding the equalizer where he needs it. That Paranoia couldn't dissuade most of the fight from even occurring there, but still, that puts them towards the garners of Soul Point here as they make their way possibly towards an Infernal.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't give any kills over, but just as I say that, his Heartstuck brother dying. Oh, he will be able to dash out 2 counters here. And Hawkthorne's making their way. Do they want to collapse? No, Rumble's going to take his red buff, and we're going to breathe for a second, Zephyr. It's going to be okay.
Well, it might be okay for us here on the desk, Dunzy, but as it stands for Hawkthorne, things just look worse and worse. They're doing a great job to kind of stem the flow of some of these hard pressuring engages where you see these big dives come through here from Divine, but at the end of the day, some of these major team fights just still aren't playing towards their favor. You know, people like Counters and Arth aren't quite at that absolutely belligerent damage level where,
excuse me, Arth has 23 stacks. What are you talking about? He is absolutely drunk with power.
You're right. Maybe, okay, hold on. Well, they just need to land the equalizer then.
Yeah, if he can lay down the red carpet on a champion, he'll do tons of damage, for sure.
That's fair. I will concede to my color here.
I mean, actually, he doesn't even have his first item completed. He only has the Magi's. There's the Zanya now coming out for Arth. Interesting build path. He knew he was going to get big. And you know what? Maybe Hawkthorne said, we lost with Infernal Soul. We're just going to wait for Elder this time. We're going to take the Elder Drake and win with that.
We're on the side. Belby continuing out the split push that he's been pretty aggressively known for this entire game. Sadly, he hasn't popped off. Well, I just keep calling the wrong things out here. Hasn't quite been able to make an impact much further into that lane, though, given. And at this point, Brother and Matty Mice might find a great pick on the Premade here if they're able to secure the CC when they need it. Arth, good knockup. Zilla, yeah, they gone.
Yeah, the Wombo's coming out there. Another equalizer miss, so you're right. You know, Arth isn't doing any damage despite having a fully stacked book right now. He has all the knowledge. Counters could be caught once again. A solar flare. What's he doing? Tumbling into 2. Oh my god. These 80 carries are madmen. Remember, it was Counters last game as they dropped the Herald on the bot side, who jumped in as Tristana on the side of Hawkthorne when he was just completely massive, and he has no fear, man.
Absolutely none, and it might be necessary here as a team fight breaks out. Malice taking low, Rift, dive, Mega Adhesive not quite finding the flare, but Wisdom able to step up and start hearing some of those autos. Zilla's back into it, Death Sentence missed, but a Flash Blade doesn't as the box comes down here. Now Counters laying out the Silver Boats from afar as the Equalizer is able to pick up that initial kill. Big paranoia all from Premade as he dives into this back line here. Double on the back as Arth's looking lower and lower. Flash to come through as the auto figures this one out, and now Mice, unable to take this 1v1, goes down for a triple onto Premade.
Yeah, Counters took the long way around there. I think he could have came back and picked
Turned.
up Premade. Yeah, he actually, so the paranoia came in towards the side of Hawkthorne, and Counters flashed towards Divine Ascension Sapphire. He's like, okay, you're going that way, I'm going this way. 2 ships in the night. He picks up the diving kills, Premade picks up the diving kills, and we have ourselves a fiesta once again. Just, what are we at? Almost 40 kills 21 minutes into the game.
Sometimes we do a little misplay. Sometimes we do a little misplay, all right? I think Counters was looking for safety into that paranoia, and he did not want to find himself into the midst of Premade there, but it looked like it proved to be kind of the nail in the coffin for his team, as he wasn't there to really prevent his absolute kind of rush.
Yeah, he did pick up a few kills on the dive, but
right.
yeah, it was Premade who ended up doing a lot more, and Belby wasn't in the fight. He was split pushing that turret. Here we are, though, Zephyr. 40 seconds until Infernal Soul is spawning. We got a lot of tangoing in the bottom river. Here comes Cryptic Wisdom. He's going to get a nice buy. 8 and 5 Tristana needs that item. I don't like this. Premade is also backing. It's too late right now. You're giving total control over to Hawkthorne. This is your soul. You know that Hawkthorne needs to come into you. What are you doing giving this up? And now Mega Adhesive is caught.
Yep, Equalizer down, Burn ticking away. Solar Flare is able to stun out, but not for long. They pick up the kills, but the response here from Dow as they throw down the Paranoia, looking for something on the side. Counters is going deep, finds the kill on the Cryptic Wisdom, turns his attention to Premade as the fear stems through. He's able to be shielded out from Hard Stuck Brother as he finds the Sonic Wave for Counter to finish it off. Now Malice looking for that last kill, isn't quite able as the triple finds its way over onto Counters.
Yeah, that was so well played by Hawkthorne. It was an incredibly split up fight. There was Counters on one side, just like 1v2ing, 1v3ing, doing vein spotting things, but being successful at it. And then Belby just was taking up so much damage, and he's the one who's able to survive here.
Oh
he wants to 1v3,
gosh,
but he's gonna fall. That was a suicide mission. The Seamstress going in kamikaze style for the Infernal Soul, but instead Hawkthorne tied up almost in kills. They're only down 3k now, and they pick up their first Fire Drake.
I will say I'm impressed from the play here. We knew Counters was a Vayne kind of trick. On the side here, we saw him perform absolutely, incredibly. I believe it was into, Redacted? Someone check me on that. You can scream at me after the game. But either way, performed very well into the first game there. Went in, I believe, into like a 14-0 fashion. And it's definitely proving itself once again. It's not as clean this time around, but it's still very impressive and kind of the target to watch here in most of these team fights.
I love the Vayne right now. He's playing very, very well. He's not afraid. Almost to his detriment, he's tumbling into people, and when he was on the Tristana, he was doing the same thing. We mentioned that too, right? So this guy is feeling so comfortable. He's in the zone. He's ready to be the hero that Hawkthorne needs, pulling them up. We know that Arth had 25 stacks. He's lost those in the last 2 team fights, back down to 11. So it's going to be on Counters. You are the carry. You're 9, 5, and 6. You got Shield Bow PD, looking at Bork coming up here pretty soon. Feeling good. Got a heat check, but you gotta bring it back, man. As long as you don't die, Counters, you can carry this team fight.
I like how you're like whispering into his ear. You're like that ring
right
the corner.
now, yeah.
And you're kind of like relaxing the muscles, and you're like, all right, Countess, You've got one more round left, buddy, and all you gotta do is hold back. Just wait for your moment.
We're dealing with boxers, man. You gotta rein them back.
Amen. Either way, here on the side, Malice looking a little bit far forward. I think he'll be able to make his way out, but they throw down the equalizer anyway. Sadly, no death sentence today for Matty Mice, and that blast cone's able to push Arth a little bit forward here. I don't think they find this kill, though. Malice is just far too fast.
Oh, no. Yeah, if the Electro Harpoons could have hit, but we're going to get a team fight still. Here it comes. Divine Ascension.
Mega Adhesive to start this one off. They don't stop the Lantern from coming through this time around as Counters arrives to the fight. This is the one to watch. Premade's gonna go directly for him though. Kites begin, the fear doesn't quite land there, stems it back, finds the kill. Now Belby the next one to go as the Silver Bolts continue to stack. Counters knows who to focus on and goes straight for Wisdom, turns his attention to Adhesive and finishes this one as well for the triple. Malice the only one left alive here as another equalizer is already back up. Either way, whether they find the killer or not, Hawkthorne are able to look towards the next, my apologies, look towards the Baron now.
This is perfect timing for them too. They're going to be able to start their own Dragon stack. 2 minutes now for the Infernal Drake. Garen's not going to be able to flash Q this over a Lee Sin Q and a Rumble Smite. As hard as he may try, don't go for a suicide mission, bro. Belby already tried it earlier. It's okay. Just reset Divine Ascension Sapphire. Man, he's playing with fire here. But Hawkthorne, now they're the ones who are flipping the script. They have their first gold lead of game 2, and they are looking like they are in the driver's seat. Counters 12-5 with a 700 gold bounty on his head. Premade knows who the target is, but he can't do anything about it.
Right. You saw he tried to pull out that fear there. You even had Belby go deep with him, but still they could not find it as you saw Counters peel off of that back, find the successful shielding from the rest of the team there, and Matty Mites, of course, providing what was necessary. And at the end of the day, it just lost it for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to reach this Vayne. His invisibility, his exhaust, summoner usage here as the red carpet is laid down again.
Very strong, but a good stun on a hard stuck brother. He throws out the Dragon's Rage as a last stop effort. That flash Dragon's Rage wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, and Mega Adhesive, beautiful job there to instantly stun the Lee Sin on his way in. He could not combo his kick. He was going for a hero play, but right now, they need to calm down. 30 seconds until Drake.
Belby's forced to flash out there. The rest of the team goes forward. They don't quite find the unstoppable forces. Malice is deep in the backline, just spinning away. Premade lays down the paranoia as the rest of his team goes back in here. This could be the deciding factor that ends this one here for Divine Ascension. Sapphire counters on this back end, is able to pick up the return there onto Wisdom, turns his way to Belby, able to pick that one up as the red carpet lays down here, and a triple finds its way over for Arth.
Yeah, they don't have the waves right now to be able to make a game-ending push, but they will pick up the Drake, they pick up the team fight win, and that was almost as good of a fight as you're going to get if you're Divine Ascension. I know they face-checked that, but it was a 4v5. They had to take the opportunity that they had. I wish they were more coordinated on their way in. Really, really nice job from Hawkthorne saying, hey, we want this Drake. We cannot give this up 4v5. We need to kind of make a little bush play here, and that's exactly what they did. Still feeling confident, knowing Counters was up and Adam available. And he's able to once again carry the team fight.
Well, at this point forward here, Hawkthorne's looking absolutely indomitable. You have Arth and Counters now, the two major carries for the team, in a perfect position to lay out the respective damage when need be, with double, or my apologies, triple engage from the rest of the squad here. I don't even see a potential pick that is available for what Divine Ascension Sapphire really squatted up for themselves.
It's too hard for them to find the Vayne in these team fights, especially when you have Godzilla, Matty Mice, and even Hardstuck Brother all just peeling the Vayne. They're saving their CC. Godzilla's not engaging. He's not looking to start a fight. He's using his unstoppable force to make sure that his carry is alive and to peel and to make sure that he can win the team fight for him. Matty Mice, all eyes on Counters. Even Hardstuck Brother, when he's not diving in, he's shielding. He's kicking 4 counters here. So really, really nice team play coming out here from Hawkthorne.
Now the rest of the squad has arrived. You've got Belby on that backside, possibly looking for some kind of flank there, but he's inevitably going to group up with this squad as this last but possibly final wave pushes back here from Divine.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, I guess you have to stay grouped as 5. That is the wombo from Hawkthorne here, but they find Malice. Good kick.
That's the start of the end. Immediately Malice taken out here. The rest of the squad knows you've got to move forward now. Wave crashing through onto turret here. They find the first initial defense, and they're just going to keep pulling this team apart.
Yeah, this could be it. Malice down for 35 seconds, but there's no Baron minions right now. Gonna be hard.
Wave, good hook onto Adhesive, double play to start off, box down, Belby out already. It's only Wisdom, but a double knock up from that Unstoppable Force is gonna be all over here for the side of Divine Ascension Sapphire. I mean, Hawkthorne just looked absolutely clean this game.
I mean, remember, they were down big early. They gave up the first 3 drinks. They were down 4K. They were throwing team fights in lane. But once again, it's the team who was down early who are able to come back, and we are tied 1-1 between the two. What are they now? 6-2 teams vying for first place in Light League.
It's going to be one incredible last game to finish this one off tonight. We saw the first, I feel like these are Cinderella stories here. You see an absolute disgusting wench in that first kind of 10 to 20 minutes that transforms into a princess at the strike of, I don't know, was it like 8 p.m.? She turns into a princess at 8 p.m. and then at like midnight? I don't know. Whatever. Cinderella's a weird fairy tale. All I'm saying is that if you run with me here, these teams activate towards the later ends, play towards their comp, and that's where we see the magic really happen. In game 1, it was Divine Ascension Sapphire coming through with their Wombo comp, and in this game, it was Arth Encounters here from Hawkthorne finally activating the late game presence that they had. With all that being said, though, I'd like to throw this back to Hickory and Shellatron so we can get a little bit more analysis here for where they think this series might end up.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Zephyr and Dunsey. It is 1-1 between these two teams. Not sure if it's Cinderella yet or the Evil Witch. We'll kind of see how things roll out. A significantly different draft here in game number 2, Shells. I think we liked it a little bit more going in. But how do you think it kind of actually played out?
Yeah, these two drafts were very good. I think both these teams had strong drafts that knew what they wanted to do. I liked what Divine Ascension Sapphire did with that Garen and the Gwen. We spoke about it on the desk before the game, thinking about maybe this Garen would be better into the Lee Sin, and definitely the Gwen would be better role swapping or lane swapping into that top lane, going against that Malphite. Gwen is an extremely impressive champion, and you saw in the lane. I think at one point we saw it was Godzilla was 0-6. He was not having a very fun time in the lane, and Divine Ascension had a very, very strong top side. Mid lane, you were seeing Garen freezing on a Lee Sin, and bot side had a lot of pressure, able to turn that into dragons. There was a very, very strong advantage for Divine Ascension Sapphire. They knew they wanted to do. They kept fighting. But near the end, they just completely forgot what their comp did, and it kind of just blew up in their face.
Yeah, and this is the second time in a row that Divine Ascension is an extremely impressive early game, kind of early to mid game. And then you're right, they kind of started getting kind of pulled apart, picked off. I think they were trying to kind of go through like a bit of like a 1-3-1, 4-1. And, we talked about it off air. The Goon Squad of Hawkthorne Esports, they didn't really have much of it. They weren't really interested in letting, Bell be on the split push or like really just kind of anyone alone by themselves. They just kept grouping us 4, grouping us 5, forcing this entirety of Divine Ascension, who maybe didn't really want to be grouped constantly, to just kind of meet them up, match them up. And you were saying it yourself that like, you didn't want Divine Ascension to 5-man and fight, but they almost had no choice. They were just being brought everywhere, kind of pulled across the map. I want to take a really quick pause here. We'll get back into the game. I just want to double check how everybody is doing in the standings. Over on the Degenerates Ascension versus Supports Burden, it was a 3-0 for Degenerates Ascension. One of them was an FF, but we were seeing a lot of praise for Degenerates Ascension earlier in the night. So far in the Clockwork Orange. The CB Clockwork versus Enigma game. We have one posted up win for CB Clockwork. Of course, here we are with the Divine Ascension versus Hawkthorne Esports is tied 1-1. And we also do know that Redacted versus Classic Esports is one win for Redacted so far. We'll keep you up with the rest of the night. But we're here with Divine Ascension. It's time for Silver Scrapes. I'm a little bit lost in this series, honestly. We've had so much kind of going back and forth, especially with these drafts. I mean, we started with an orange jungle, right?
Oh yeah.
What do you want out of game 3? I'll just ask it that way.
Before I speak on that, I want to speak on what you just said. We've seen
Uh-huh.
a lot of things. I think we've seen one thing and one thing only. We've seen both these two squads opt into fighting no matter what. Fighting, even if their comp, even if how strong their team is, does not want to do that and should not do that. They've just been fighting, meeting up no matter what. And I guess for game 3, more the same. I mean, we saw Hawkthorne honestly have an immaculate throw game 1. Divine Ascension had a great advantage for themselves. Just did not try to split, did not try to get advantages. You see one member of your team getting ganged up on top side. You can send your whole squad up there to try to peel, or you can get advantages in the mid and bot lane. You know that there's 4 members of Hawkthorne there. At the top lane, they can't rotate to you. You can take a tower, maybe even 2. But we all want to fight. We all want the goal. We all want to see the blood spill in the Coliseum. So game number 3, give me more of that. My headphone, I have the wire out. I can't hear a thing. I'm going to talk for 10 more seconds. I want to see more pocket picks. I want to see more of these things that are not quite as conventional out of Divine Ascension Sapphire. Like the Ornn, the Gwen. Bring back the Ornn that was banned in the second phase of bans from Hawkthorne. Bring it back in the first phase of picks if you're Divine Ascension.
Point. They did wait for a while to pick the Ornn, to ban the Ornn, excuse me. It was the second ban. I think it was let me check here. It was the 4th ban coming out of Hawkthorne Esports. So they were taking quite a lot of time before they wanted to get rid of it. We've seen the Nocturne and the Silas kind of be up in the air for the Divine Ascension here. So maybe they're kind of like wondering if they can kind of pick up or get rid of a Silas. In fact, I'd actually really like to see what the reasoning for this Silas ban is. Perhaps, maybe we just like jump it into the hands of Hardstuck Brother and see what happens. You were talking about a lot of fighting. Silas definitely likes being in people's faces, almost as much so as the Lee Sin. I like the Lee Sin pick. I could see it again. I could see it. I could see it top. I could see it jungle. I could see it mid again. I'd actually really just kind of like to see what happens if Belby picks it up. I think that'd be quite funny to just kind of say, you can do it and I can do it better. We were talking off air about how impressive we were with Belby's play for the first 17, 18 minutes of the game. Very good control of the top lane. Obviously got really far ahead in that kind of a bit of a mismatch versus the Malphite. There was a really strong split pusher. And of course the game kind of devolved around him. But I'd like to see what he can pull out. This was his 7th game, 8th game, and 7th pick because he is double on the Gwen. So he's got a lot of things to pick out.
And I want to see him pick even more things.
Yeah.
I know we have not seen the extent of Belby's champ pool, his champ ocean at this point. And right now we're at tributary standards right now. We want to see just how big this guy's pool does go. And I think we will get a decent look at it coming up very, very soon here.